Peace be upon you. The trade war series is getting worse day after day. Then there is an attack. Today's episode will look at what's new in this trade war. America is imposing taxes on iron and aluminum. Now Canada is responding. By striking and imposing sanctions and taxes on American farmers, Europe is now entering the line and making a decision and taxes worth $26 billion. Now China is also imposing sanctions on America, and America is responding with a penalty from a historical point of view. An important episode full of news. We will also look at the inflation report and what happened with the markets. I can tell you something very important. Food prices will head to very high numbers. We will begin today's episode in the inflation report. As we expected, we said it is a temporary report. I am telling you why it is a temporary report. The expected CPI headline report was 2.9, and it came out at 2.8, better than analysts' expectations. Of course, the stock markets rebounded well, exactly as we expected. Okay, why are you saying, Omar? This is a temporary rebound. Let me tell you the main reasons. Of course, the report was better than expected. It was first 2.9 and then dropped to 2.8. This is a positive indicator. It is still high. Of course, inflation is the largest part of what happened in the report, and the reasons for the report's decline are: oil prices have dropped significantly, affecting the overall balance in the report. If we look at food, it rose by 2.6% monthly. For heating, it went up by 6%, and housing costs increased by 4.2%. All the key components in the report were on the rise. Shipping also saw a 6% increase. However, when we look at oil, which takes up a big part of the report, it dropped sharply, balancing things out. Something important, you might ask why food prices are going to rise. I think the trade war will have a significant impact on this. See how much prices have been rising year over year. For instance, meat prices have increased by 7.7% from last year. Yes, meat prices are up by 7%. If we look at something important, you will say, why will food prices rise? First, from my point of view, the trade war will affect them greatly, but let me show you how much prices have been rising from year to year. If we look at meat, for example, meat prices have risen by 7.7% from year to year. 7%. Meat prices owe. If we look at beef and pork, they've gone up by about 7.6%. If we check eggs, they've skyrocketed by around 58%. Over the last 4 years, we always need to remind people that just because the report shows a drop, it doesn't mean prices are going down. No, prices don't just drop. For example, if we look at the prices of eggs today, they have risen by approximately 238% in the last 4 years. If we look at the prices of coffee, they have risen by approximately 53%. If we look at the prices of sugar, they have risen by approximately 48%, meat by approximately 40%, butter by 35%, rice by 27%. All of this gives you an impression, and this of course applies to the world as a whole, because these are the same raw materials. If we look at people's salaries, they have not increased by more than 20%. So, see how much these prices are causing a lot of crises for people, and the prices are not going down. This is also very important. If we look at what happened to the American markets, at the start of the day, there was a strong rebound, followed by a slight correction. The Nasdaq and S&P 500 closed up by about 1.2% and 0.5% respectively, while the Dow Jones, which is more focused on industrials, dropped by about 0.2%. But as we expected, I still believe that the report was a temporary report. I can say, and I believe that we are still in a transitional and important phase. It rebounded, as we expected, but now we will see a very important detail. Let me tell you why. The report, from my point of view, was temporary. The 10-year bonds usually indicate that if the inflation report comes out good, then you can be sure that the Federal Reserve will lower interest rates. So you would expect the Treasury yield to drop. But look, the Treasury yield is actually rising. Right after the report came out, it shot up significantly, from 4.18 to 4.3. The 10-year bonds are crucial for the government today. President Trump's government wants to lower interest rates, and the Federal Reserve cannot lower interest rates under conditions of high inflation because it gives you the impression that there is inflation. If we look at the percentage that the Federal Reserve will lower interest rates in the next meeting, it is March 19th, meaning after next week it will be 1%. The expectation is that the Federal Reserve will maintain its current rate of 4.5%. For fans, 5% for fans, real fans, real fans, real. And if the report had been better, we would have seen an increase in the Fed watch. One of the important things that President Trump also discussed with Janet Yellen is, let's check out this video.
I think some people will do a much better job. Subscribe to the channel. Is she a real economy and not a fake economy? Who represents a fake economy? They were appointing a government judge for oil. Do you see what happened last month or the month before? Otis Reitha, did you see what happened last week? We had the most real and meaningful government. Advanced business helps us.
Continue. A very important video of President Donald Trump telling you, I don't look at the stock markets, and this is a very important thing for decision making. I want to correct the economic situation, and I don't look at things that are artificial. We can say that the economy itself and the middle and lower middle classes of society improve because Wall Street relies heavily on exaggeration on liquidism as well as on the wealthier classes of society that have investments. Trump wants economic reform, and he also talks about jobs. Real jobs are the jobs that are created by the economy, not the jobs that the federal government is creating, which has increased dramatically. I want to improve the real economy, and I don't care about Wall Street, and I don't care about what happens to stocks, because you also have to know that he has 4 years left and he wants to improve and save America internally. I think this is something very important and requires very basic things. First, it requires lower bonds. It requires low interest and the Federal Reserve to lower interest rates. It also requires a weakening of inflation. Inflation is the most tiring thing for all classes of society. I think what's coming for America. A study tells you that J.P. Morgan says the recession rate in America is 40%. The correction phase must begin with a recession. What will a recession do? It will lower interest rates. When inflation comes down, President Donald Trump can begin the government reform phase. Let's see what's coming. I think the economic recession rate is higher than 40%, maybe even more than 60%. Therefore, I still believe that the rebound that happened in the markets may be temporary. I want to see what happens with regard to the trade war to make a decision. Of course, we are entering into the trade war side. For those who didn't catch our episode yesterday, go check it out. It's really important because everything is connected. The Republican tax sector that President Donald Trump imposed on steel and aluminum for countries around the world was activated yesterday. Canada responded very significantly, saying they will impose Republican taxes worth $21 billion on products. Specifically, products related to farmers and meat. We talked about prices in the inflation report. We saw how much food prices increased by 7.7%. Farmers and agricultural products are also increasing significantly. Canada is now imposing taxes on food products, and all of these will raise product prices. This is also something important. China has made a very important decision, in my opinion, to stop buying meat and agricultural materials from America, specifically meat. Look how much meat prices will rise in the future, and agricultural materials and alternatives have started buying from Canada and Brazil. Agricultural materials were entering the American farmers at approximately $21 billion. This was the money that China was buying. All of this will stop food prices and farmers in America. If President Donald Trump had not intervened and given them financial packages, there would have been a problem, from my point of view, in the agricultural sector and American farmers. Also, one of the important things that happened in the last 24 hours is that Premier Ford backed down from imposing taxes on American electricity. The three main cities, New York, Minnesota, and Michigan, are pulling back and preventing Republican taxes on electricity because it would have raised significant numbers and affected 1.2 million American citizens. Now there is a clear threat from Canada saying that we will start transporting gas and oil outside America because we remind people that America and Canada have a trade. Approximately 97% of Canadian gas and oil goes to America. Now you are telling them that we will start moving to other countries, moving to countries like Japan, China, Korea, and others. If no agreement is reached, this will significantly impact American oil prices. Let's see. And this is the only way Canada can save itself from a severe recession because a large part of Canadian income relies on oil, and 97% of those buying Canadian oil are from America. Now they need to turn to new partners and build those relationships. New partners and build this relationship. Let's see who gets involved in the story today. The European Union is stepping in. Let's take a look.
We really appreciate this issue. They're bad for business and even worse for customers. They're bringing in weapons and they're bringing in culture for the money, and they're bringing in money, and they're bringing in money, and they're bringing in money. In any case, neither in Romania nor in the United States. He needs to create American jobs to control the users and the process. The countermeasures we are taking today are strong. The United States is applying the tariffs with just $28 million. We're surpassing attempts of about 26 million euros. This goes beyond the economic history of the United States. We will return to access resistors on. Starting with April 1st and starting with April 1st and starting with April 1st and starting with April 1st, and starting with April 1st 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 and everywhere since April 13th. In the past, we will always remain open to discussions. We certainly believe that we are in a world of social and political risk, and we do not have a mission to confirm in our common interest to burden our economies with such tariffs. To burden our economies with such tariffs to economy tariffs. We are ready to respond to this important call.
Van der Leyen sent her speech, of course, a speech. Van der Leyen, who was perhaps one of the most supportive of America, perhaps more so of the Democratic Party, completely changed her tone with President Donald Trump and said, "We will respond to you, Donald Trump, and the American government by imposing Republican taxes on products worth $28 billion starting in April. In response to what you did." I am surprised by what is happening, frankly, guys. I am surprised because Europe is entering a dilemma with what is happening in Ukraine and Russia, and President Trump is now putting more pressure on them in the future. But also, frankly, the series is not in my mind at all, and what he is doing in Europe is bringing the relationship between Europe and China closer. This is what I don't know. It might be in Egypt until now. I am not able to conclude what is happening. There might be a decline in Europe, and God knows best. But what is Trump saying? He is threatening to increase it. He says, "You have imposed taxes. We will show you what we will do." And now he is studying the process of increasing customs duties on Europe. But we can conclude something very important. Farmers and food will increase significantly around the world, unfortunately. Something also very important, I think in the American-Canadian relationship things will get worse. We need to see what is happening in Mexico. Mexico is still silent. Europe, from my point of view, will find solutions in the next stage, or it will get closer to China in the future. I don't know why Trump is opening fronts against everyone. From my point of view, the news is very dangerous. A court in Missouri. China is accused of the pandemic and says it has to pay compensation of approximately $24 billion. If it decides to pay, we will take assets worth $24 billion, which may be agricultural land materials in many agricultural lands in Missouri. This may be one of them, God knows, but here, the court imposes this and takes. These assets, from my point of view, mean we are entering a very dangerous phase because China might also respond and say to you, "I am taking American assets," and we will enter a dangerous spiral. Let us follow this pattern in the trade war that is taking place. God willing, you have benefited from today's episode. Whoever wants to learn more about investment matters, how to invest in a scientific way, analyze the lists, choose healthy companies, look at things by analyzing financial lists, and studying and buying things and products at healthy prices does not mean that it is a good company and its high price means a successful investment. Successful investing is about buying a good product at an excellent price, and that's what I'm trying to teach you in the course. We have discounts available for a limited time. You can find the details in the description. Good luck with your investments and thank you, and see you next time.